really want to hit the beginning of the next year hard and fast and ready to go. In order to be ready for that, you need to sit down and see where have you been, where are you going, and what's necessary to get there. And maybe a good customer base assessment is important for that.
Hi, I'm Terrell Turner.
And I am Chris Word.
And you are listening to the Business Talk Library. Now, this week's topic is, as we're coming to the end of the year, you're thinking about so many different things in your business, whether that is you own the business or whether you work in the business, you're in any type of leadership capacity. It's just really want to talk about, okay, what are the things you should be thinking about as you're closing out the year for business?
I believe that it is a great opportunity to take a look at the year. How did you perform? Kind of get ready for the end of the year. Take some time to prepare your documents and just ease into the end of the year so you can hit the beginning of the year fast.
No, I think that is very, very important because, even being in corporate finance and accounting, yes, you spend all this time throughout the year rolling up the financials, but I'll be honest, you don't always stop to really take time to really just take it in. Hey,
yes.
What was the performance?
Yes.
What did it look like? Because you're so busy just trying to get the next task done that you don't take time to really think about it.
Yes. Now, we'll caveat that and say for retail, it's probably a little different because at the end of the year, you have a lot of people that's out shopping and you want to be a part of that mix and money that's changing hands, and probably some restaurants as well. So it may not be a slow time of the year. But I do believe that at the end of the year, it is a good time to start to look at your year and start to prepare for the end of the year. Like if you have time, if your business allows between Thanksgiving and the end of the year, then you can start collecting all your receipts and your financial paperwork and your invoices so that when tax time comes around, you are ready. You can start to put together that information and it's readily available, and not you scrambling in January trying to gather it all.
I agree, because I think that from a tax perspective, definitely you should. Actually, I think November timeframe is probably an even better time frame to start talking to your CPA, because there may be some last minute decisions that you need to make in the year, whether that's charitable contributions or whether you're debating whether you make a sale in December or do you sell, or whether you buy something now or buy it later, to where there are some very critical business decisions that still need to be made that I think you should definitely talk with your accountant November time frame.
That's a great point, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because it may be a good time to go ahead and buy that item that you've been waiting on, to go ahead and put in the end of this year against this year's performance and financials, rather than making it a huge expense for the next year. So speaking with your CPA, looking at your financials, and maybe go ahead and making those decisions will put you in a better tax position. It'll put you in a better performance position, or forecasting or projecting for the next year. So this is a good time of the year to begin to do that.
Yeah, and I also think that, as a business, is really taking time to see, okay, all right, looking at your customer base is really doing a good look to say, okay, all right, who have been my regular customers? When's the last time they bought something? And hey, there may be an opportunity for you to reach out, connect, whether that's appreciating them or they may be looking to buy something at the end of the year.
That's true.
So definitely making sure, I think, that you're looking at and saying, okay, all right, when is the last time that I've actually been in touch with the people who buy my products?
Right. And on that, and I guess at the same time, a good reflection of your business, of your purpose, who you are, what you want to do, what have you accomplished, what some time or areas of improvement that you can do, because you really want to hit the beginning of the next year hard and fast and ready to go. In order to be ready for that, you need to sit down and see where have you been, where are you going, and what's necessary to get there, and maybe a good customer base assessment is important for that.
Yeah, and I also think that now this one requires a pre-step for you to be able to do this, is looking at your actual performance versus your budget. Now, if you didn't create a budget,
Right.
then you won't be able to do this.
Right.
But I do think that, along with looking at, hey, this is what we've accomplished this year, also look at, hey, what were you expecting to accomplish this year?
Right.
And just kind of understanding how do your actual performance,
Right.
how does that compare to what you expected to happen?
Right. What went well?
Yes.
What went well? What did we bring in or create or start, or what customers are new and why are they new? Why did they come in? Who's been with our business for so many years or whatever that time period is? What went well in our business this year and in the years past that brought you to this point? And to the flip side, what went wrong?
Yes.
Is a huge question. You can always celebrate the positive. But if you never want to look at the negative, then you won't get anywhere fast.
Agreed. I think it's fair to look and say, hey, what customers did we lose this year?
Right. Right.
What products did not perform well?
Right. Exactly.
Because I think that's a very important part about, effectively running a business, is not only knowing what you did well, it's just knowing what you didn't do so well. Because some of it may be an indication that, hey, we just need to exit that product or exit that, not do that again. Right. Or maybe we just need to fix our process.
Right. Was it you? Was it you being the business? Did we misperform on a customer service opportunity? Did our product not meet the specifications or standards and we need to get out of that product or fix that product? Did something happen in the business or with the business reputation that damaged how we ended up in this point? So it's a great time also to look at what went wrong in the year, and is it something we can improve? Is it something that we need to consider for the years going forward? Just do a good assessment of that. Scrub all that dirt out so you can be better prepared for next year.
Yeah. So I think that all kind of falls into a reflection bucket of reflecting, and then I think when you do that reflecting appropriately, then you look at kind of planning the next year.
Yes.
Like, hey, based on what we understood of this year, what should we be expecting or preparing for next year?
Yes, and do a good, deep assessment of that as well. And let's just talk revenue. Mm-hmm. Is our revenue based on customers coming in the door, or do we need to reach out to our customers to make sure they come in the door? How sustainable is our revenue model, and what do we need to do to make sure we at least meet the number of this year, and how do we bring in more for next year? That's the first place to start. Mm-hmm. Can we improve our pricing? Can we improve our quantity? What are those things that's going to make that revenue come in the door, and then you work your way down the P&L from there. Mm-hmm. Employees, costs, kind of all of those things of forecasting for next year.
Yeah, I think on the revenue part, when you're looking at your revenue, let's say if you sell a variety of products, when you're looking at your revenue, it's like, okay, all right, which products really brought in the sales? Why did customers really show up? And then also looking at next year, it's like, hey, do you start to promote that product more? Or, hey, if there's a product that, hey, I thought this was going to be our big seller, but nobody actually bought it, it's just like, hey, you need to start talking to your suppliers and telling them, hey, we don't need to buy more of that product or as much.
Exactly. Yes. And then even with that one product, is that product profitable? Let's consider that, because it may be the product that's selling. I'm use something for example. When we had the gas station, people used to come in and they would buy those zigzags or cigarillo wraps, and those things sold all the time. I can guarantee we would sell one every 30 seconds. I just knew it for a fact. And then on the holidays, we would sell them faster because people were off and they would just be in the store all the time, relaxing and resting and having that recreational activity. But how profitable was that for me? We sold them at 99 cents. With tax, it came out to $1.03. We bought them for around 47 cents, 50 cents. So we made 50 cents. So if I'm selling a lot of them, the most I'm making is 50 cents.
Yeah.
Like I'm selling more, that's my highest selling item, but I'm making 50 cents. How can I get that item where the margin is better? How can I sell more of that as well? So I'm saying that to say when you look at your different products and you identify the item that's selling the most, you also need to look at, is that item driving my profitability, or is that just another item that's bringing people in the door? How can I sell that item that has the most profitability? Or what item can I sell that has a better profitability? And then try to pair those two together to get that blended revenue so you can make more money next year.
And I think that's a good point, because I mean that just really comes into the strategy going forward. Like,
Yes.
hey, based on everything that I've learned, what am I gonna do going forward? Like, what does that
Yes.
mean for, hey, the products that I'm gonna advertise or market, or the products I'm gonna highlight, or as you said, the products you're gonna combine together,
Yes.
because they may make a good complement.
Yes.
I mean, also, I think with your relationship with your suppliers and your
Yes.
vendors, it's
Yes.
just like, not, I mean, yes, you want to think about your customers, but don't forget about your vendors as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
It's just making sure that, hey, you have some type of connection point with them, touching base with them. And then I also think it would be very fair for you to get the feedback of your vendors and your customers if possible.
Yes.
And get their perspective on,
Yes.
hey, what do they think you did good this year? What
Right.
do they think you didn't do so good
Right.
this year?
I think it's a great idea to do an annual. Everyone knows you're going to do an annual assessment of your vendor relationships, and I would even suggest this from a business perspective and a personal perspective. Go out and re-quote. Go out and get quotes for those
Yeah.
things that you've forgotten about, your car insurance or business insurance or your utilities, if that's even possible. Because it may be you may find better deals for the next year than what you're just used to paying because it's been second thought. So this may be a good time to go get those additional quotes, and then you can compare prices. So then when you're meeting with your vendors, you can say, hey, Terrell, this has been a great year. We've done a great job. Your service has been wonderful. I did want to mention that I reached out to Chris, and Chris gave me this quote for your service. Is it possible for you to match that? Can you beat that? What can you do? Because I'm looking to improve my business, and I may end up considering going with this competitor because they're offering a better rate, and see what they say.
No, I think that's a good discussion to have. I mean, because, and, you know, one of the things that I've seen is like when you start to really assess, like, hey, where are you spending your money, like on the expense side, is you also come across things where you're like, hey, we have, you know, multiple softwares that do the exact same thing.
Right.
Why not just have a conversation with your vendor and say,
Right.
hey, this is what I needed to do. Do you guys have a product that combines this?
Yes.
And a lot of times you find out it ends up being a cost savings.
Yes. And what's even crazy from a vendor perspective, they're trying to meet their end of the year quotas as well.
Yes.
So if you consider where the position that they're in, now you're starting to play chess at this point. You know that the vendors are wanting to meet their quota for the end of the year. You meet with them at the end of the year and you say, hey, I'm preparing for next year. Do you have any good deals that I can consider? Maybe you need a new printer for your business. Maybe you need a new, I don't know, piece of equipment, trolley or whatever it is. They're willing to offer it to you at a discount because it helps them with their sales.
Yep.
You're willing to take it on because you can be more profitable and efficient next year with this new piece of equipment than you were last year. You brought the cost into this year, so you're not taking that into next year unless you're going to depreciate it. But that's a different topic. But that's something to consider as well. You can offer that sale to the vendor. You get the equipment that you need, and now you can become more efficient and even more profitable next year.
Because I think about even like on a personal level, like, you know, at the end of the year, you know, stores are going to have their year-end sales.
Yes.
And businesses function the same way because there's either inventory that they have or, like you said, they're trying to meet their sales quota. So they're willing to be a little bit more generous at the end of the year because they already know, like, hey, I know what number I need to hit. So they know, hey, I can give this kind of discount to get this out the door. And I think that's a great time to start shopping for the things that your business needs.
Yes. But I want to make this point, and I want to make it very clear. In order to, in my opinion, prepare and let me say it this way, to better prepare for the end of the year and to prepare for next year, You have to come out of the business and work on the business.
Yeah.
You spend all year in the business doing and doing and doing and servicing and answering and running around. At the end of the year is a good time to step out of the business and work on your actual business. How can the business improve? How can you improve? Maybe a good time to take some continuing education or some business training to better support who you are, learn a different skill, learn a different style, whatever that is, so that next year you're ready and fully and able to go. So at the end of the year, Q4, maybe November, December timeframe, work on your business and not necessarily always in your business, if you're able to do so.
No, I think that's a good point, because and I think that's a point that's even transferable into, if you're not a business owner and you're actually, you work in a business, like you're employed by the business, to where whatever level you are, just taking a step back from, because usually at the end of the year during the holiday season, it's going to be a little bit slower. So you can take a step back to say, okay, all right, how does my role fit into this business? And kind of, hey, how can I either do my role differently to where it becomes more manageable for me, or it becomes a better fit for me, or and it's like, hey, how can I add more value to help me achieve whatever the goal is, whether that's, hey, I want to have better work-life balance, or hey, I want to get a promotion. It's just, you give yourself time to reflect on that and think about that, like, hey, how can I put myself in the best position to see the type of results I want to see going forward?
Yes, agreed. I personally, I get the word out, believe that you have to spend time improving yourself. You have to spend time improving your business and getting and preparing for that next step. And that next step is that next year. And you have to see what's necessary to do that. Maybe take a nice vacation, take that time off, shut down, go from Christmas to New Year's and just decompress. Because when the year starts again, you got to be ready to go. Yeah. And you don't want to burn out when you have the opportunity to rest.
And speaking of resting and burning out, I will say you got to tune in for the next episode, because we are going to jump into a topic of the end of the year. What do you need to be thinking about for your employees?
Yes.
So until next time.